All right, guys, it's another Saturday evening, and we're more than thrilled to have you with us. Of course, like what I mentioned, it's the final month of 2020. Can you imagine? Parang, I don't know, ilan months na ba? Parang 9 months ago, we just started the lockdown, and now, di pa naman matatapos yung lockdown. Pero we survived several months. And to be honest, if you told me back in March that we need to probably spend Christmas on lockdown, I wouldn't really believe you, or I'd probably get depressed na parang ganun ba kahirap pa, ganun pa ba yung paghirap na dadaanan natin, um, you know, surviving this pandemic. But hey, we're here. I hope all or most of you are doing better than what you expected. And of course, konti na lang, and we're all gonna get through this pandemic. And at least marami tayong pwedeng experiences na makuha from this particular situation. For one, most of you have probably looked at the things that matter the most, 'di ba? Things like spending time with family, yung mga trips, of course, masaya siya, and we all learn a lot from all these things, pero they're all just gonna have to be put on hold for the meantime. And on top of that, marami rin tayo na pagdaanan this 2020, aside from all these little, details that prevent us from enjoying the things that we love, such as triathlon, such as going to the mall, all these things. Marami rin tayong pinagdaanan in the sense that a lot of calamities actually happened. Nangyari dyan yung explosion ng Taal, nangyari yung Raleigh, Ulysses, diba? These storms that affected a lot of our fellow countrymen. And to be honest, not that I'm, promoting, toxic positivity or anything. At least, kahit paano, we could look at our blessings right now and be thankful for what we have. Kasi at the end of the day, there are a lot of people who are suffering more than us, and that shouldn't actually make us feel better about what we're going through. Instead, think of it as a call to action to help the people in need, diba? Now it's Christmas time. We don't really feel the Christmas joy that we usually do. And I could say that it's more common or more prevalent for some people who really are struggling right now. That being said, the reason why I actually asked our friend Coach Al to join us in this live stream is because sometimes, believe it or not, it's actually quite hard to help. What do I mean? Di ba parang minsan ang hirap magbigay basta-basta if you don't know where your hard-earned money or your hard-earned resources are going. And the reason why I actually got very attracted to what Coach Al is doing is, for one, I know that when I offer my help, I know that mapapagkatiwalaan ko sila, and that they will really put these resources and these blessings into good use, and makakarating talaga to sa mga taong kailangan. I'm not saying that, yung marami dyan humihingi ng pera and, ninanakaw lang nila or anything, but iba rin kasi yung matatanong mo, ano nang ginawa mo doon sa pera? Or anong ginawa mo doon sa donations ko? And they can really point you towards the people or at least the communities that they have been helping. All right? So, of course, this is a very special live stream. It's not related to training at all. Walang kinalaman to sa triathlon. But at the same time, we're taking advantage of our community, in not just in triathlon but in sports, to build a support system around people like Coach Al. Of course, for example, si Gretchen Ho, before we had her as a guest, we implored people who are, of course, cyclists to help those who are commuting on bicycles and utilizing this as a means of income, or at least man lang a means to support their families, right? So, yun, this is important because as triathletes who I would say are definitely doing a lot better than maybe the people in, for example, who are struggling in the provinces with the calamities that hit our country, at least kahit papano we can do our own part. No matter how small, kahit na magkano pa yung amount na yan, kahit na nga na share lang or getting the word out, that's already a way of helping. All right. So without further ado, let's bring in Coach Al, who is currently in Batangas right now, and he just finished ano yung course that you participated in a few minutes ago.
We just graduated from a rescue diver course for the Philippine Air Force from under the 505th Search and Rescue Group. So it was about 15 days of training for a lot of our friends. For the rescue portion, it was about 5 days intensive.
Okay, so search and rescue. Now, ano ba yan? Parang Baywatch ba yan? Natakbo kayo sa beach, gano'n.
Yeah. So
no, kidding aside, we know how difficult it is to do search and rescue in, especially probably you're gonna do search and rescue hindi naman sa calm conditions most of the time, 'di ba? A lot of times these actually happen during, again, storms. So maybe you could tell us a little bit about the things that you went through during this course.
Okay, so for the last course that I just accomplished, I just finished, it was more geared towards scuba diving. And as a scuba diver, if something were to go wrong in the water, you would know what to or how to react to things. So it's a rescue diver. Basically, it follows a program of instruction that was added on, was from the military, where they had added on also program of instruction from, let's say, international organizations like CMAS and PADI as well. So it's sort of it's a mix of different teaching methods. So they got sort of like the best of practices, because, as you know, when it comes to search and rescue and lives are at stake, you want to make sure that you're up to it.
So it's not just a dissemination of knowledge. A lot of it is practical, diba, when you talk about things like that. So kaya ba na mukha kang medyo pagod ngayon, diba? Parang
Yeah. Yeah, sorry, part of the appearance, man. We've been we, like, yesterday we were up at 4 a.m. We finished late in the evening because we always have to debrief after every session. And it's serious business. And typically when people go into rescue diving, it's more of a compliance for sort of like a stepping stone to a higher level of certification. But for this particular program, we were catering to 2 military units whose sole purpose is actually search and rescue. So for the Philippine Air Force, they have a unit that's devoted to just search and rescue, which is called the 505th. And basically, when you get to see them in the field operating, they're the ones who are wearing tangerine flight suits. So they stick out like a sore thumb. And even their choppers are color white, no? White, blue with rescue marking on it. Because their sole purpose really isn't as a combat unit, but rather to make sure that they can go to an area and perform search and rescue activities and retrieval and what have you. So their proficiencies are really geared towards search and rescue.
Okay, so I'm pretty sure a lot of the viewers are asking, how do you even get started with something like that? So as a regular individual, ako kasi, of course, we were forced to go through ROTC, or no, CAT in high school. Sa Ateneo kasi it's the Air Force. So
okay.
Not I wouldn't say as difficult as what a lot of the other siguro schools went through, kasi more kami on formation, marching, etc. Pagdating naman ng college, I opted for NSTP over ROTC. Now, for most of us na medyo, syempre parang medyo we're not really that aware as to how you could really get into something like that. So I know you're part of the Army Reserve. So how do you get started with
Okay.
getting into the reserves or doing what you do?
So I got started with the military, and actually with CAT palang in high school. I was a COCC officer, and basically that kind of started the journey for me, to be curious about the military and how things are done there, as well as the bond that I had with my fellow officers and my juniors at the time. So medyo iba yung pinagsamahan namin, and I can say that it was a completely different experience as for your typical high school student, no, when you become an officer and then you had to do the CAT. So that's where it kind of started, and then as we progress into college, at the time ROTC was mandatory, so no choice. I actually graduated MS 11, MS 12, so that's military science, military science 11, military science 12, and then 21 and 22, if I'm not mistaken. So basically, what happens is with any ROTC graduate, you're actually given a serial number, no? And that serial number is parang you can report to a specific community defense center, and you can basically parang be integrated into the army automatically as a reserve because you underwent like yun 2 years training yun, MS 11, 12. That's 1 semester each for all of those military science units. So basically, when that happened, I was already drawn into the military na as a reserve, but I wasn't so active. I wasn't so active yet in it. On occasion, I would join a few of the missions, but it was just more of I maximized the fact na graduate nga ako ng ROTC. So sayang naman yung opportunity. But later on, no, it kind of got revived again. It got revived again when what happened was I was invited to take part of an auxiliary training. So the auxiliary training was under the Air Force naman. And this one, anybody can basically join. You don't have to be an ROTC graduate, or you don't need to be um, in the military for you to join. And what I like about this particular training is geared towards search and rescue. So if we go through the different programs of instructions that they have, it includes search and rescue for the water, or WASAR, so water search and rescue. Um, they have vehicular, for example, there's an accident, it's called VIRAR. They also have for collapse structure, which is basically what happens when there's an earthquake or what have you, no? And they also have high angle rescue, which is basically when you have, let's say, you're mountaineering and you have to lift somebody. It's about using ropes and rappelling and what have you. So basically, it's a mix of different skills, which you can say is very very applicable, diba, to anyone. Kasi kunyari, if we're in the metro and you see a car accident, you will know how to react to that, diba? Parang you'll be trained for that. With the army, in the past, I was trained for marksmanship. So basically, firing. We had a range in Tarlac that we would go to regularly. It's a 1 kilometer range, so we can do basically longer distance shots or firing. No, but sabi ko, kailan ko naman magagamit yung skill na yon, diba? I used to go there almost maybe 3 times in a week, and I would go through maybe a few hundred rounds of bullets, no? And bullets really isn't cheap. Pero for me, it was more of like a passion to do that. But yun nga, one day I was thinking, when will I ever be asked to use this particular skill set, diba? Even if you were asked, do you think you would be using it? Parang hindi pa rin, diba? Versus with the search and rescue, in any particular situation where there could be a loved one who needs help, you will know what to do. So they have what they call a search and rescue auxiliary training for the 505th. So the 505th, again, is a dedicated unit that basically just does search and rescue for the Air Force. So when you do they call it SARAT training, or it's basically a search and rescue auxiliary training. When you do that, um, as you graduate, you can become a part of the 505th as their auxiliary and serve as a force multiplier. Kasi ilan lang naman yung nasa unit na yan, tapos ang scope nila is nationwide. So for example, if something were to happen right now in Batangas, I will know how to coordinate with them and give them the proper instruction as to, information as to what's going on here, and mas mapapabilis yung trabaho nila, diba?
Okay, so it's very interesting. No? I still remember our conversation several years ago about your sniper, ano ba, yung sniper school, diba? Yung Coriolis effect.
Yeah.
And to be honest, as someone who I'm sure you know is a geek, it's something that tickles my fancy in the sense that
Mhm.
gusto ko kasi naiintindihan ko yung bakit paano ba yung ilang clicks when you look at the sniper rifle, things like that. So
Yeah.
the curiosity is just a part of the equation, diba? But for you, it's about translating your something that interests you, I guess, to actual action. Now, what you mentioned, diba, yung about the search and rescue, tama ba? Is this something that is open to, let's say, anyone who might want to
Yes.
join?
Yes. I would encourage people to join that. In fact, what I do is sometimes when they have sort of like demonstrations or simulation exercises, I invite friends and families to basically try out some certain aspects. No, like you, I also love numbers. That's what drew me into shooting long range. Kasi pag short range, wala ka masyadong kino-compute. Pero pag long range, ang dami ang haba na ng equation mo. Everything from the twist of your barrel to the weight of the
Bullet.
of the bullet that you're using, the amount of powder that you have, so, and also windage and all of that. So parang mas nakaka-excite para sa akin yun. Tapos you have to wait a few seconds before you hit the target, no? But this one naman, sabi ko, it's very applicable, and it also has a lot of numbers for you to look into. So for example, when you do high angle rescue and you're dealing with ropes, you have to look at the weight capacity, diba, of those ropes. Kung kaya ba niyang i-maintain yung weight mo, and then plus the weight of the person that you'll be rescuing, from the harness to the carabs that you're using to the ropes, everything has to be computed. So parang those are things that kind of, alam yun, got my attention na, okay din to, dami palang, it's very complicated. Even as simple as knot tying, no? This is something that people take for granted. So I remember before I took the training, when I would be out, I would have a hammock with me. So what I would do is I tie it in a tree. Sobrang takot ko na mahulog yon. I will make the knot so redundant and so tight para hindi mahulog yung duyan ko. And what will happen is, so sobrang higpit naman niya, hindi ko na matanggal yung tali. So in essence, kailangan gupitin na bago mo matanggal yung hammock mo. Just to find out that there's such a knot where it can be talagang just a few seconds and it's quick release. So bale, there's really wala talaga siyang knot pero naka-lock siya. And
Yung ba yung tinatawag na slip knot?
yeah, actually madaming diskarte yan, depende on ano.
The reason why I mentioned Slipknot kasi marami dyan yung mga emo or yung mga rocker. I'm pretty sure you know that band. So,
yeah.
but basically, diba, when you talk about knots, there's a way for you to tie it na isa lang ihilahin mo, matatanggal siya.
Yes.
Just in a certain direction. Diba? So, so all these things, when you look at it, it sounds intimidating, but I guess the pleasure that you get from learning these things is not only the satisfaction of being able to understand, it's knowing that you will be ready for any eventuality. Like we heard a lot about preppers, diba?
Yeah.
Maybe a year ago, yung preppers, they get a lot of flack or medyo napapagtawanan or what. Pero when the pandemic happened, parang,
Yeah.
uy, you actually have more confidence that even if it's not supplies, pero you have the know-how to, um, you know, take care of your family, diba?
Yes.
So, siguro let's transition a little bit. Is this the reason how you got into the things that you do, like helping delivering goods, etc., yung mga donations, food, blankets, etc. So, yung background mo ba, because of your part of the army reserve, is it a reason how you got into this particular, it's not a business pero vocation ganun.
Yeah. So basically, it isn't actually through the military that was able to start my journey here. No, it was through our NGO. So our NGO is called STET VIP. So yeah, makikita mo, we have our patches, diba? So what that stands for is actually Students Transformation and Enrichment for Truth, Values, Integration, and Promotion. So our NGO has been around for about 20 years, I believe, around almost 2 decades, no? And basically, it started when there was a drive before to take out fraternities in UP. Sabi nila, tanggalin natin yung mga fraternities kasi baliwala yan eh, di ba? Parang puro rumble, puro gulo, and yun ang nai-instill. So this program started with that initially, no? Where instead is an editing term which basically stands for let it stand or retain it. Diba? Kunyari, may ini-edit ka, tapos you want to take that one out, pero you decided to keep it, so you'll put the word "stet." No? And basically, what we were trying to say was that, people were focusing so much on the negative parts of being in the fraternity, but they did not also showcase the good that it was doing. You have a lot of fraternities who would do medical missions, who would help out different communities, and things like that. No, so basically, it was saying that kahit anong gulo ng frat na yan or org na yan, there's always room for transformation. And then the VIP naman is values, integration, and promotion. That if we're able to inculcate the proper value system in a person or an organization, mas maganda yung kakalabasan niya. So pag nakikita ng tao, VIP, oh, baka pa-importante yan, di ba? Sabi nga namin, oo nga, importante. Importante yung mga tao who have values and who are actually serving. Diba? So ang tunay na VIP ay hindi yung tao na may helicopter or mamahaling sasakyan and all of that. Ang taong mahalaga sa ating society are people who are willing to serve the community without thinking of what they get back from it. It's someone who has the values, who have been brought up to say na, oh, if I see an injustice, I will do something about it. If I can help, I will do something about it. And what happened was it became a pet project under ROTC, so which became CWTS. And as we were progressing with that, so ang ginawa naming program of instruction was to say, okay, kayo nasa kolehiyo kayo, instead na magmarcha kayo, why not, let's use your skills in the academe. So kunyari, nurse ka, how can you apply what you're learning as a nurse or a doctor or an engineer to the community? Diba? So you'll spend a semester going to the community to identify ano ba yung kailangan ng community. And then from there, from your perspective as a doctor or nurse, what do you do to apply that to the community? So kung doctor ka, baka alam mo about dengue, diba? Yung mga different campaigns na ganyan. Kung engineer ka, baka makikita mo how their houses are built, or the roads in the area, kung ano ba yung safe at hindi. So basically, it's capitalizing on the things that you are studying, and then for you to cascade it down to the community, to help out with the community. Now, later on, instead of being part of just the ROTC program, nagkaroon ng pagbabago yung ating batas. No? And they came out with the National Service Training Program. Now, at the time wherein they needed a program of instruction to use for the NSTP, they actually contacted us to see if they can adopt and use our program of instruction, because it was something that was tried and tested in several universities at the time. At the same time naman, it's very effective. So kami naman, pumayag kami. My mom was actually who was Dean of Students of UP at the time, was actually part of the committee who drafted NSTP. No? So from there, when the people went into NSTP, nagkaroon ng panibagong direksyon yung mga nangyayari. Instead of just mga lalaki na nag-ROTC, even females are required now to serve, no? which is a good thing. And this is what kind of started the program of being able to do community outreach and programs, because imagine at the time we had about 800 higher education institutions. Kasi hindi alam, parang the government is having a hard time how to implement um, the National Service Training Program. So before it was expanded ROTC, unang ginawa nila expanded ROTC, and then naging NSTP. So basically what we did is we had workshops wherein we would train trainers or instructors and people from the ACA team so that they will be qualified to be able to teach the courses of NSTP. So it was a training of trainers or a qualifying course. No? And because of that, we had about 800 higher education institutions nationwide. And could you imagine the amount of coordination those schools have with the different communities in their area? So community outreach and projects and activity is something that isn't new to STET VIP. I guess what is new for everyone is that we have a pandemic, diba? And then also amidst that pandemic, we also are hit by natural calamities like the recent typhoons, the floods, and even earthquakes. So ngayon, instead of just being able to do community outreach and all of that, we wanted that our volunteers be safe as well. Kasi gusto mong tumulong, mag-outreach ka nga, wala ka naman masyadong alam about the areas and you might be putting yourself at risk pa, di ba? So that's why we encourage them to undergo different kind of training. No? So for example, itong search and rescue auxiliary training, or even those in the reservists about to sign up. So in fact, just recently, one of our very good friends and one of our volunteers, si Nico Welgas, and I'm sure the community knows who he is, actually signed up for the Air Force and is now part of a reservist as with the rank of sergeant, diba? Kasi could you imagine, you're going to go to the community during a calamity and all of that. Tapos, you can't even ensure your own safety. How will you be able to help other people out? Diba? So the military provides a level of training that helps prepare our volunteers to be able to respond to certain scenarios and to different situations. So that's one way of doing it. No? The other way also is to undergo different kind of trainings that we try to encourage people to join, which is just certain aspects. It could be as simple as a Red Cross basic life support or first aid workshop. Diba? I mean, for like tayo coaches, diba, we're required to have a certain level of certification when it comes to first aid and basic life support. And with some of our certifications, you're not going to be they're not going to allow you to renew if what happens is you don't have that BLS or first aid, diba? So, but for the regular person, diba, how many people can tell me at this moment if something were to happen to their loved ones and would need, let's say, CPR, diba? They would be confident or they would know how to do it, or even know what number to call, diba? Alam naman natin, traffic in the metro, even with the pandemic traffic, diba? The response time of our first responders is really, alam mo yun, delayed because of a lot of different variables. And when it comes to certain situations like that, time is of the essence. Diba? So, sabi nga namin, you got to start with with yourself first before you go on and help others. So we're trying to equip our volunteers to make sure that they have their necessary skills for them to operate in the field. And kaya perfect yung community natin because itong community natin as athletes, 'di ba? Yeah, nandiyan yung endurance nila kasi sanay tayo with long rides, long runs and what have you. Mentally they're also prepared because alam na nila yung feeling na pagod ka na, gusto mong mag-give up or whatever, but there's that drive in you. Kung sa iba, yung drive to push could be a podium finish or just to reach the finish line. Ito naman, ang drive namin when we're operating in the field is nakakatulong kami ng ibang tao or in training naman that one day it might be a loved one whose life is in peril. So kahit na pagod ka na, nagsi-CPR like what we were doing the other day, we would we were required to swim a certain distance kasi we were as rescuers, bring them to the shore and then administer CPR all the way until they reach the ambulance, no. Basically ang tagal nun eh, 'di ba? So kapag gusto mo mag-give up in training, ang isipin mo naman kung kapamilya ko to, 'di ba? What will I do? So that's the drive there. So as athletes, sanay na tayo to tap into that, 'di ba? We're already used to redlining and feeling mo wala ka na bibigay kasi pagod na yung katawan mo. Pero for some whatever reason, mahanap natin yung maliit ng margin na yan, which helps us push forward, di ba? So yung mental mindset ng athletes natin are completely different than the regular person. So it's perfect that they're in the field. On top of that, syempre because they see us on the ground, iba din yung call natin sa community. Kasi, alam mo, sa totoo lang, ang daming gustong tumulong. Sobrang gustong tumulong. Ang hinahanap lang ng tao is that there's accountability and there's transparency in what people are doing. Na alam nila kung may ibibigay man ako, makakarating. Diba? Whether it's food supplies or what have you. And regardless kung saan man yan, we make sure na when we get there, talagang makakarating yung binigay nyo. We find the best, we find the best means to make it there. And there's a lot of coordination that goes into it. Like for example, during our trip to Bicol, diba? Shout out sa mga off-roaders natin. So there are a lot of different volunteers. An organization, for example, is the Alliance of Off-Roaders who would lend yung mga parang monster truck na yung dating ng iba doon eh.
I saw that post, yung mga highly modified pickups
yeah.
and SUVs. They actually contributed by they were the means for transportation. Kasi sobrang na ng mga kalye, ganun ba yun?
All of the above. So like in Marikina, syempre yung regular vehicles couldn't get through different areas, so sila yung mga vehicles na yung ginamit. Even here in Batangas City, there was a village that was really underwater na, but they wouldn't let vehicles come in for the rescuers. Pero yung sa kanila, since matataas yung vehicles nila, pasok. Diba? Parang they're allowed to get in. Not only that, but a lot of our friends, mga members natin dyan sa Alliance and the different off-road groups like Ford Rangers Owners Group or Frog PH, and you have the off-road enthusiasts. A lot of them are actually also trained. So some of them are my unit mates naman in the Coast Guard Auxiliary. So as Coast Guard, iba naman din yung training. So ang kinaganda nun is they're using their rigs, no? These are their personal investments in terms of vehicles. But instead of just doing the typical let's hit the trail and enjoy our big trucks, they're doing this. They're trying to bring hope to the different communities. So alam mo, nobody can do it alone. Diba? Even if like let's say triathlon is an individual sport, you don't do it alone. May coach ka, may teammates ka, may kaibigan ka, may pamilya ka na nag-aantay sa finish line, diba? with all of these different projects, it's the same thing. We have different enthusiasts and volunteer groups, and they come together. So ako naman, I like to get as much training with different organizations para you can have a smoother inter-unit operability, di ba? So, like I mentioned also ngayon, I think last Friday we did the indoctrination for Philippine Coast Guard Auxiliary. So I'm just waiting for, it's part of the 103rd Squadron of the Philippine Coast Guard. And I'm also part of the Search and Rescue Auxiliary naman ng Air Force natin. So iba din yung mga tinuturo nila doon in the sense that what they're really good at, and the different programs they have are different. So Coast Guard, a lot of it is maritime, no? So could be open water, it could be in lakes and what have you. Sa Air Force naman, nandiyan naman we have a 1 mile swim wherein they drop you from a helicopter and then you're asked to swim 1 mile to shore, diba? That's part of the training of Sarat. So iba-iba yung different types of training. For, let's say, another unit that is also devoted to search and rescue, in the Army naman, we have the 525th Combat Engineers, or Engineer Combat Battalion under the 51st Engineering Brigade. Sa kanila naman, they have two sides to them. One is that they're combat ready, and the other side naman is they're rescuers. That's why ang nickname nila is mandirigtas. So, mandirigma na manliligtas din. So, basically, if they're not in combat, they're training and preparing for search and rescue naman. So, sila yung one of the first responders in the recent calamity in Rizal. They were there first on the ground. They were operating for such a long period of time. So ang maganda dyan is if you are trained by these different organizations, when you see each other in the field, it's easier to know how to work, diba? So kunwari tayo, if we go to a race, kung ang bit-bit mo kamag-anak na wala namang alam sa triathlon, diba? Maybe photos ibibigay sa'yo, pero baka hindi pa niya alam kung paano pumwesto. Pero kung triathlete yung kasama mo, alam niya kung saan pumwesto sa transition, sa swim start, diba? Makatulungan ka pa niya pag tingin ng gamit mo, aalamin niya, oy, na-check mo ba yung tires mo? Do you need a pump? And things like that. So, even if hindi siya yung kakarera, at least nandun naman yung alam niya kung ano yung kailangan nung tao na magpo-perform. So, in the same way, with all of these different trainings, hindi porket ako, certified ako with rescue and all of that, means that I will be the makikipag-agawan pa ako doon just to make sure that, alam yun, I'm on the scene. It could also just mean that I am there to support the other rescuers who are on the ground, and I will know what they need. Diba? So with STET VIP, it's not only about relief to communities that have been devastated or people who need relief packs, but meron din tayong mga programa para sa mga frontliners natin. Mapa-doktor man yan or mapa-military, whether it's PPE or training or what have you, we have that other side. So I'll mention, for example, with one of the units in the Army, they were looking for a different program naman to do when it comes to fitness. So we have another volunteer natin who's also known in the community, si Chloe Jane. She's part of the OCR national team, no? And she's done the World Championship in 70.3 for Ironman and for as well for Spartan. So siya naman yung nagte-training dun sa military units. And then we have partners, for example, like Tanita, who does the body composition analysis para i-check kung in terms of fitness ba, nag-i-improve ba yung composition ng mga katawan ng mga soldiers natin, ng mga troops natin, and other brands and sponsors who want to chip in, diba? For giving nutrition to equipment or what have you. Kasi the other aspect of things naman is that these are the guys who are always in the field. These are the unsung heroes. Maybe you haven't heard of them because they're not the type who will go out on TV and say, Camion or whatever, they're the type who will go there and operate, and then as soon as they're done, pahinga, just so that they're ready for the next one. Like so, for example, for the 505th, galing silang Bicol, nag-operate sila sa Marikina, sa Rizal, and then all of a sudden they were flown into Cagayan naman. And if you know the timeline of that, halos sunod-sunod yon, diba? So halos walang tulog yon. So may mga kaibigan tayo in our own community na nag-provide ng mga vitamins for them, diba? And for them to make sure na makakarating sa kanila, they course it through our organization. So coach, sila personally, coach, alam ko yung 505th, alam ko yung 525th. Baka naman pwede nating abutan ng vitamins. So to date, this other day, we gave out 4,000 vitamins to the 505th, 4,000 as well to the 525th, and then we still have about 6,000 in the inventory right now, which we're planning to send up north to the tactical operations wing naman of North Luzon. These are the people who operated in Cagayan and all of those different islands up north.
So with Stet VIP, I noticed that you're saying there are actually two ways wherein you could contribute. So the first one is, of course, to the traditional way of donating, giving resources, food, etc. And the second way is to sign up and be a part of the bigger picture in terms of being there on the ground, delivering, providing direct assistance. And for you to actually take part in that, you need, again, proper training. Diba? Kasi it's not something that you just jump into, not knowing. Diba, mamaya you might be a liability pa rather than actually helping out. So, as if you, for example, if someone who's a regular person, kahit triathlete or what, he wants to be part of
Hello,
that,
coach.
be part of what you guys do in Stet VIP. What's the first step that you need to take? Do they sign up somewhere? Paano ba yun?
So, I tell people, I mean, other than donating supplies or things like that, no, the greatest resource that you can give is your time. Why is that? Pera kasi pwede mong kitain eh. Diba? You can earn money, you can have businesses, and it can come back to you. Mabilis lang yun. But yung oras mo, once you give it, wala na yan eh. So that's why I encourage people to volunteer because dun mo ma-experience lahat eh. Diba? For example, we have friends who prepare meals. For example, here in Batangas, we have the Batangas Dive Association, or ang nickname nila Badass eh, pag nakita mo, no? So basically what they do was during the time of the pandemic, what they would do is they would prepare food for the different frontliners, no? So they would get supplies from Manila, people would give, and they themselves would cook. So it's a home kitchen, and they would prepare food, diba? So that for me is the greatest engagement eh. Giving your time in doing this. Because once you put your time, alam mo kung gaano kahirap gawin yon. Alam mo yung feeling na magigising ka ng 3:30 or 4 a.m. kasi you have to prepare meals for 1,000 people. Diba? So maybe, you do the groceries mamamalengke ka mga few days ahead and see what other ingredients are given to you, and you want to make the most of that, diba? So pag ikaw mismo yung nag-volunteer doon, mas ma-appreciate mo lahat na nangyayari, diba? You know kung gaano kamahal ang mga, from the packaging to the ingredients and things like that. And it also transforms you in the sense na you have a better understanding of how hard it is to prepare all of this and do it. And at the same time, you also know that feeling of when you actually give those packages. So when you go to the community, makita mo gutom na gutom yung mga tao, hindi pa nakakain buong araw, or for a few days they haven't really had a decent meal, and then you give them a hot meal for the first time, diba? Iba yung ganung feeling. And I can tell you all about it na ang sarap-sarap na feeling ngayon. But again, like triathlon, we can tell people how good it is to cross that finish line when you do your triathlon. But for them to really understand it, they have to do one. Diba? It doesn't come close eh. Hindi mo maano na, oy, kinuwento ko, parang sarap yan. Nandiyan yung pamilya mo, nandiyan yung mga kaibigan mo, yung buwan na training na ginawa mo, pinaghirapan mo, culminates that you crossing that finish line. Diba? You can talk about it all day. Someone can make kwento to you, but you have to experience it for you to know how it really feels. And that's why I encourage people na to volunteer. Diba? Sure, supplies, money is good, diba? Whatever, kung damit or what have you. But the greatest thing that you can give is your time. Diba? Your time and your attention. And true enough to our names as that VIP about transformation, doon namin nakikita. Diba? Yung transformation ng mga communities na tinutulungan namin, kasi makikita mo dahan-dahan umaangat sa buhay or dahan-dahan nakaka-recover sa mga calamities. At the same time naman, doon mo rin makikita na yung transformation ng mga volunteers namin. Na, oy, coach, ang sarap pala ng feeling. Like si Jano, no, one of our part of our national team, Go for Gold din. Sabi, coach, ang sarap pala nung feeling na makakapagbigay ka. And I told him nga na, di ba, it's not like we're millionaires or billionaires with a lot of money to give, but we're giving our time. And when we pull in together the resources that are entrusted to us by friends and family and different people in our community, diba? And we give it to the community, parang ang sarap, ang feeling ko nga, parang that's what we get eh. Alam mo yun, parang ang sarap ng feeling that ikaw yung nagbibigay versus ikaw yung nangangailangan. Diba? And it doesn't mean naman na, kung hindi naman ako makapag-volunteer, ibig sabihin, wala na akong magagawa. Hindi. There's so many other ways of doing it. One of our partners, sila Tuazon Racing, these are race car drivers, no? They have a virtual racing cup now to help people, race car drivers to kind of, have that same kind of feeling of the competition. But of course, because nagka-pandemic and the lockdown, diba? Though, what they did is they had those virtual races, and sometimes the registration or the proceeds they give to us, diba? So other than the monetary or the supplies that they give to us, ang maganda dyan is that they create awareness. So that's another way to help, diba? Wala kang pera to give, wala kang time to give, o gawa tayong awareness, diba? It's just a matter of sharing. So kami, we really appreciate this opportunity, Coach Don, that you've given us, no? Because it allows us to, like I said in our, that to thank the community who's been supporting us. I mean, sama-sama naman tayo dito na medyo nahirapan, walang swimming pool, bawal mag-bike pa dati, di ba? Our long rides, our group rides, halos wala na, di ba? Ngayon pa lang nagsisimula lang ulit. And yet, even if personally we are facing all these different challenges, nagawan pa rin ng community natin para makatulong, makapagbigay at makatulong sa iba. So sabi ko, this is a perfect venue for us to be able to thank those benefactors and our mission partners, especially from our community, from the triathlon community, from the multisport community, who's been supporting us. Actually, yung iba, even before the lockdown. But lalo na ngayon, where we have the pandemics and all of these things, sobrang laking tulong. And the things that we do, kami as volunteers, we're just more or less, we're just a channel, we're just instruments to be able to deliver that. Ang maganda nga yun, like you mentioned earlier, may accountability, di ba? Saan ba pumunta yan? Dali lang yan, text natin si Coach. Di ba? And I will even ask you, anong gusto mong target? Kasi lahat naman tayo may kanya-kanyang bias, no? So some people love animals, some people like the elderly, diba? Or some tend go towards orphans or scholars or what have you. So it's just a matter of matching what the benefactors want to, who they want to help out, no? And then also knowing the beneficiaries. Kasi kagaya na in some areas, syempre nagkakagulo na kasi may, for example, may disaster, may calamity. In some areas, dadayuhin pa yan ng ibang tao na hindi naman tinamaan ng calamity para lang maki-epal sa relief goods. Tapos sinasabi nga nila na Yung iba dyan, kukunin yung relief goods, magtatayo ng tindahan kasi daming delata. Diba? So that's where the importance of knowing the different communities comes in. Apat alam mo yung area na yon, ay talagang ito, tinamaan talaga yan. Or you have contacts on the ground that will allow you, like the LGUs who will tell you, oh, ilang pamilya ba yan, ilang tao yung nangangailangan dyan, di ba? At the same time as well as when you coordinate with the military, they will let you know naman na, to keep your convoy or your group safe, they'll make sure they'll check with intelligence in the area. Ano ba nangyayari doon? Is it safe ba? It's not a matter of, may groceries tayo sa bahay, ihatid natin doon. Diba? Kasi posible, pag ikaw naghatid doon, baka kuyugin ka ng mga tao doon kasi sobrang gutom na sila. For those people who responded to Yolanda, you will see how desperate people there were. And talagang medyo no man's land yung time na yon. In different areas, it's the same scenario. So it's not as a matter of just getting things and then sending it there or bringing it there. No, there's a lot that's included. That has to be included. And we say nga that sometimes good intention isn't enough. Diba? Gusto mo ngang makatulong, pero yung pag-execute mo, mali. Diba? So sometimes, even with rescue, ganun din. Gusto mong makatulong, binuhat mo yung tao, yung pala may neck injury pala siya. So lalong napasama, di ba? So here, when we do our relief missions, we make sure we have due diligence when it comes to knowing the area, what the situation there is like, and then we also use military assets who are our mission partners to help recon, to find out, di ba, ano ba nangyayari dun sa area niyan, and also to be able to bring it there. Not only are they sending their equipment, but their troops as well. So security-wise, covered tayo. So kung makikita mo yung mga karamihan ng mga posts natin, ang daming mga people from different sectors of the military, diba? Because there are mission partners in helping out. Does it mean you have to be part of the military to do this? No. Diba? The military is open to anybody who would say, oh, patulong naman. Can we do this? Diba? So it's just a matter of tapping to them. And we're very, very thankful that we have mission partners like the 525th Engineer Combat Battalion. You have the 505th Search and Rescue Group. You have the PAF CMOG or Civil Military Operations. You have the Tactical Operations Wing of North Luzon with the different tactical operation groups who have troops and people who are more than happy to go beyond the call of duty to be able to help their countrymen. So, but you don't have to be part of the military, as I mentioned. It's just a matter of just coordinating with them, and we'll be more than happy to help.
Ito may comment si Monching. Nag-enlist raw siya sa army. Pero BTS Army.
Mag-enlist na ba si sir?
BTS Army daw siya. So of course, Monching, thanks for watching. We love having you with all your comments. So yun nga, pero we do have a lot of comments from, I guess, the people that you guys have been supporting or at least have been the part of your community and all the way up until Ilocos Sur. So, and yun nga, tulad sabi mo, umabot tayo ng Naga, all the other, like, Leyte,
Cagayan, Tugigaraw,
for Yolanda before. So, it's basically the entire country that's benefiting from something like this. And like what Coach Al has been saying the past hour, it's there are multiple ways of helping. You could contribute your resources, you could contribute your time, which is of course another resource that is very, very valuable. Kasi alam mo to, Coach Al, as an individual, we all have the same amount of time available to us. It's about making use of that time the best way we can, diba? For a lot of us, we talk about how expensive triathlon is. Pero one thing that we fail to consider is how expensive certain things are, not just triathlon, but everything that we do, how intensive it is in time. Kasi yun nga, there are things that we can do there are a lot of things we can do with 1 hour, and it's all about making sure that that time that we allot is put into better use. We're not asking everyone na, oh, dedicate nyo full time yung energy nyo at yung oras nyo sa pagdo-donate or sa
Yeah.
pagtutulong. Pero when you can, a little bit goes a long way. So I always look at this as like what you said, we're building a community that can support each other and in as a result stand on its own. Because there might be situations wherein I'm not available, you're not available, and someone can step up to the plate. And for them to do that, they need to be properly informed, properly trained, diba? And they need to have the right experience to do that. So the reason why we have this live stream is not because oh, we're soliciting donations, we want people to donate. Of course we do, but it's not the only thing that we want out of this. We want people to be more aware that there's something like this. And tulad ng sabi mo nga, maybe the biggest struggle right now is the lack of exposure that people like you on the ground, and of course the team that you are a part of, the lack of exposure that they struggle with is actually a limiter as to parang how much they can help. Kasi personally ako, I don't see myself doing what you do. To be honest, I can help in a different way, diba? And it doesn't have to be as parang as cool or as amazing as what you guys have been doing, pero without people helping from home, diba, giving their time and their resources to people or to organizations like you, then mahirapan talaga tumayo as an institution. So siguro we're believe it or not, we're actually wrapping up 60 minutes already. Prior to this, sabi ko parang maybe this might be a short live stream kasi baka hindi ganun karami yung pwede mapag-usapan, pero again, I'm wrong. Ang dami palang pwede pag-usapan. And it's a very amazing and very inspiring story. Now, for us to move forward, let us just point to the channels wherein people can contribute. Diba? We have Facebook, Stet VIP Incorporated. Just type that in. Lalabas yan. The first entry that you get, that's them. And of course, on IG, we have @StetVIP. You can help multiple ways, like what we mentioned. You can either donate, deposit, you could give your extra clothes, whatnot. You could sign up. When you sign up, of course, you have to go through proper training, depending of course the role that you
Yes,
want.
yeah.
You could be on the field, you could be on the ground in the thick of the battle, as they say, or you could be helping some other way, like for example, administrative or what, diba? If you're a good organizational person, I'm sure sina Coach Al might need support and help in
Yes,
that manner.
yes,
Diba?
please.
Personally, like talking to of course, yung nga mentioning Gretchen Ho again, kasi this is very similar to what she's been doing. Malaking struggle actually yung pag-pool ng resources and pag-organize ng resources. So that's one of the most difficult things, I guess. And the other thing is the logistics side of it.
Yeah.
And the nice thing about doing this is that again, may ano tayo may accountability. Kung hindi kayo sure kung saan mapupunta yung dinodonate nyo and you want to know, just have to ask kahit hindi Coach Al directly or maybe the organization, and they can really help in terms of giving you guys peace of mind, and tulad nga na sabi ni Coach Al, diba, may sense of accomplishment or sense of fulfillment being able to contribute in your own little way. Now, before we conclude, I promised earlier before the live stream, meron tayong quick giveaway. So we have this Sante Barley Boost that we can contribute to anyone who. We just want you to do one simple thing. Is first, you can just share what your normal morning routine is to get you started for the day, and of course how something like coffee, and of course this is barley infused coffee with tongkat alipa, and it can help you, of course, kickstart your day. Alam ng mga those who know. So yeah, and it's a good way for you to kickstart your day. So all you need to do is again share and post about how you kickstart your day, and all you have to do is tag me and use the hashtags live more do more. Of course, we thank our good friends at Sante Barley's and Joey Marcelo, of course, the president and CEO, of course, Ma'am Arlene for supporting us and this channel. And trust me, pag natikman nyo to, it's really something that's different and healthier than your normal cup of brew. All right, so yun, thanks for that commercial break. And Coach Al, thank you very much for allotting your time. I know you're tired. I know you've been through a lot with the certification you've done for the past 15 days. Mas matindi pa siguro yan sa Ironman. Diba? Pero, thanks for giving your time and your energy in helping the people in need and helping us help people, diba? Right? So, any parting words, Coach? Maybe you could pick up on something that I might have missed.
Yeah, it was actually quite interesting what you were saying earlier. Na the hard part is garnering resources and logistics, no. On our end, naman sa Stet VIP, that's one of the easiest things for us because we have a lot of people who support. But one of the things, like for example, you posted our online accounts, no. It's as simple as para sa amin yung madugo is social media and how to get people here to know more of this. So we're very thankful for this opportunity. And there are people naman who I know are very savvy when it comes to these things. So if you have extra time and would help us and volunteer, no, like for us, everything here is volunteer. We don't get paid for what we're doing. It's basically we just want to be able to help out. So kanya-kanya naman kasing passion yan eh, diba? So maybe if there are people who want to help us out with our social media or what have you, we'll be more than happy to do that. Sa'yo naman, Coach, diba, sabi mo nga, you don't see yourself being on the ground. But maybe we can invite you naman to help our military. Diba? Of course, like I know you gave a talk before dun sa special services natin sa Air Force. I think it was maybe a couple years back, diba? And it was such a very informative talk. So maybe kapag medyo free kayo, maybe through online or something like that, we can do something for nutrition naman again, or for training for the different units, diba? That way, diba, that's something that's up your alley. I mean, that's your passion. And kami sa Stet VIP, it's not, we don't get people to conform to what we do. What we want to be able to do is to bring out what they're passionate about. So if you're passionate about, let's say, training and specifics in nutrition, diba, how do we spread that word? And maybe we can do it through the military who also need that help. Kasi especially ngayon, medyo marami sa kanila, yung mga frontliners natin, nagbabike na, tapos nag-iisip sila, how can I get faster on the bike or how can I become more fit, diba? So maybe they can incorporate a little bit of a training program there or how to properly fuel themselves, things like that, no? So kanya-kanya namang passion yan. Nagkataon lang that for me, I love being on the ground. I like getting my hands in the mud, being there during the thick of the storm. That's why kahit during the earthquake in Itbayat, Batanes, we were there. Basically, all of the different calamities the past few years, we were on the ground. Kasi ang hirap din naman humingi ng tulong sa mga ibang tao kung hindi mo alam kung ano nangyayari on the ground. Diba? You have to have someone there who knows what the exact situation is. So, but as I said, kanya-kanya naman tayong proficiencies at saka kanya-kanya naman tayong passion. It's a matter of just linking those different passions and then being able to bring it all together. So yung mga kaibigan natin here at Batangas, mahilig magluto, napakasarap magluto. They have their badass kitchen, ang tawag nila, di ba? So ako, hindi mo ako mapagluluto ng ganun kadami. Kaldero na yung gamit na malalaki. sabi ko ng kaibigan namin, cauldron, di ba? So it's those big things. But for them, they're very passionate about cooking and being able to give that hot meal. So if we're able to support them one way or another, then that's what we will do. So maybe for those people who have a calling and want to serve and want to help out, diba? It's about channeling what you're good at or what you want to explore, diba? And get in touch with us, and we'll find a way to be able to help develop that or support that, whether it's for animals, like yung iba nag-rescue ng mga animals on the street, or for the elderly, like si Jing Mones loves being able to support yung mga home for the aged, di ba? Um, or for orphans, di ba? May marami mga ano diyan na uh, mga naiwanan na magulang, or because of one reason or another wala na magulang. So may iba doon who can relate kasi maybe for themselves orphans sila, or different NGOs who have specific focuses. So anything that you're into, it's just a matter of coordinating. And in the words of one of our uh, partner organizations, the Mabuhay Deseret Foundation, diba? It's about working together to build something sweet, diba? It's parang beehive yan eh, nagtutulungan tayo for that particular goal. At the end of the day, we want to be able to help out our country, our community, diba? And be able to give back to with the blessings that have been imparted to us. So with that, Coach, thank you so much again to our community, sa mga triathletes natin yan. Hang in there, mukhang may mga karera na daw next year. So, diba, hopefully, fingers crossed, things go well, diba? So maybe jumpstart the training again. But again, thank you so much for all of the support. Diba? Everything
Right.
that we've done is because of you guys. So thank you. Thank you.
All right. So yun nga, thank you very much, Coach Al. Talagang very inspiring tong ginagawa nyo. And again, for if you guys want to help, all you have to do is log into Facebook or Instagram and search for STET VIP kasi they will find a way for that you can contribute, as what Coach Al said. Yeah, it's not the typical donate this, ask for this. If you want to donate your time, your resources, your skills, they will find a way wherein you can contribute. So that's the nice thing about it. No, it's we want to, I guess, think out of the box in terms of how we can help. All right. So yeah, very thankful that medyo na-enlighten tayo sa mga bagay na yan, and we now know that there's another channel wherein we can be of service to our fellow countrymen. Okay, so yun nga, it's another Saturday evening that you've spent with us. So thank you very much for allotting your time and your attention to what we've been talking about the past hour or so. As I mentioned, this will be the last live stream for 2020. But by next year sa January, we already have a few important topics that we can discuss for of course the upcoming season. So you better watch out for that. But we won't necessarily be gone from now until the end of the year. We're still gonna come up with videos, posts, etc. to at least malang get you interested, get you going, and get you excited for the next season ahead. So don't forget to not only like our page, you could also follow us on Instagram at FlyingDonV. We also have a YouTube channel. Just look for FlyingDonV Coaching. And of course, please don't forget to subscribe. And so, yun, if you have any questions, if you have any suggestions, don't hesitate to comment on the comment section below. Or you could also send me a direct message and we can talk a little bit about the topics that you might have in mind. Right? So again, thank you very much, guys, for spending time with us, and please stay safe. And we're gonna see each other real soon in the race course, as what Coach Al said. So keep training, keep working, and we're gonna get over this pandemic real soon. Okay, thanks, guys. See you.
Thank you. Thank you.